Welcome to the SEC Recap Week 4 preview and predictions episode. Some exciting matchups on tap for this Saturday. We're going to get into it right now. It's great to be in the SEC. Welcome back to the SEC Recap Podcast Week 4 preview and predictions episode, where I'll take you through the pre-cap model, kind of show you our head-to-head matchups, give you my take whether I agree or disagree with the model, and we'll touch on all of the games throughout the SEC. A few teams on bye this week, but we'll hit the marquee matchups, what I think are the marquee matchups anyway, and then give you the rest of the rundown. I don't want to waste any more time because this is going to be a longer one today. We're live streaming here on YouTube this morning, on Thursday morning. This will be clipped on Friday to give you those individual matchup breakdowns as their own episodes. So we're not going to waste any more time. Want to get to it. And we're going to start off a little easier today for some of the folks out there. For others, maybe not so much. Arkansas at Memphis. Really intriguing SEC AAC, right? American Athletic. Yeah. Matchup that I think has a little bit of a trap game written on it for the Razorbacks. Arkansas is 2-1. They go to Memphis, sitting there in Bluff City, kind of back in my hometown backyard. Memphis Tigers are at 3-0. And this is the second straight road game for Arkansas. It's actually, I think, the first meeting between these two programs since about 98. And it's funny because they're not that far from one another. And it's unusual for Arkansas to be the one going on the road to play this game. It's unusual for an SEC team. The Hogs are favored in this matchup, but not by a lot. Let me see what Vegas has them at. Arkansas minus 7.5 currently. As you can see here on screen, my model, the pre-cap model, is picking this a little differently. I'm going to break down why that is. So ESPN's FPI is giving Arkansas roughly a 60% chance to win. My model is completely flipped. My model actually likes Memphis in this game. By the way, if you're not watching on YouTube, please come join us on YouTube. In video format so you can see these graphics. The pre-cap likes Memphis with a 62.2% chance to win in this game by approximately a 4-point margin. So less than a touchdown. Okay. Let me make this a little bit bigger here. Talk about kind of what this means. So in my model, when I just share these graphics on Twitter, a lot of people don't know how to interpret this, right? So let me just walk you through it real quickly here for this first one. And I won't do this for every single matchup today. But when you see this, my model predicts for the home team. Okay. So in this case, Memphis is the home team. It's predicting for Memphis. So you'll see the win probability for the home team and the away team. And then you'll also see the projected margin. That projected margin is not a spread. It's not a betting spread. I'm not trying to draw in betting action on both sides of this. This is just a point margin that my model predicts the home team will either win or lose by. In this case, it's giving Memphis a 62.2% win probability by a margin of 4.1 points, okay? And a lot of that is based on these statistical edges, these key edges, right? Where if this value is positive on the edges, it favors the home team. So offensively, these are things like EPA per rush. That's expected points added per rush. These are efficiency metrics, okay? Efficiencies do not lie. Efficiencies, especially by about week 5 or 6, will tell you who the overrated and underrated teams are respectively relative to league averages. EPA per drop back, right? Passing downs, EPA on early downs, EPA on explosiveness. That's 90th percentile. Field position, third and fourth down success rate deltas. On the defensive side, pressure and havoc rate deltas. Those are game swinging, momentum swinging plays, right? Offensive EPA overall, defensive EPA overall, success rate, overall offensive delta. So all of these have different weights, I guess, in how they model. These are not all weighted evenly. And in fact, these aren't direct correlations. These are decision splits. So what the model looks at is it starts to split the win outcome, all right, home team, away team, what the conditions were, and which deltas, which decision splits factor the most heavily into that. And so when you see that, like, key edges here, positive favors home, more of these edges are negative, which should in fact favor Arkansas, right? At least the way we would normally interpret it. But the model is picking up on some different stuff here in all of the advanced stats that it's factoring in. So despite Arkansas seeming to have a weighted advantage in more of these key edge deltas, the differences between these for both teams, the model is still favoring Memphis. And let me tell you why that is. Put my mug back on screen here. I posted this on X yesterday that in week 2, when Arkansas went to Ole Miss, Arkansas had the slightly better, we'll say better for lack of a better term, offense, more explosive offense, right? But defensively, Ole Miss was just kind of an SEC league average defense through 2 weeks. Yes, it was at Ole Miss, but that defensive difference, the defensive delta, was the difference in that game. Look at the defensive delta here for Arkansas at Memphis. That defensive EPA delta favors Memphis. Okay. Again, go look this up on Twitter. I'm not going to pull it up on screen here just because there's too much to get through in this episode today. But Memphis and Ole Miss were roughly identical in week 2 in defensive EPA in all of FBS. Now Arkansas, coming off of a very similar road loss at Ole Miss, has to travel to Memphis, second road game, and face what is a very good, very, very good G5 defense. One of the better G5 teams in the league, to be honest. They beat Troy. They beat Chattanooga. I forget who their third game was, but they've only allowed double-digit points, I think, in one of those 3 games. And they're winning by 20-point margins, okay? So I think this is a slept-on matchup that if you're just looking at what ESPN is giving you and seeing that Arkansas has a 60% chance to win based on the FPI, you're missing a lot of nuance in this game. To me, this is a big-time trap game for the Razorbacks. My model likes Memphis, and I am actually picking Memphis at home for the upset in this game. Now, my wife, who is an Arkansas fan, would not like me saying that, right? But I'm going to go with the pre-cap model on this one. Now, don't be surprised if this game comes down to the final possession. I think a 1-score game in the fourth quarter would be right in line with like ESPN's projection. The Hogs are favored by a touchdown. So based on my model, I would be taking Memphis, obviously, to cover that and win outright. But I think this could be a very hostile and motivated Memphis team. This is a very veteran defense for Memphis. Again, like I said, I think it has upset alert written all over it. What does it mean for Sam Pittman and, the coaching personnel there at Arkansas? I don't know. That's really kind of outside of my wheelhouse. I'm more of a numbers guy. I just look at statistical matchups. I don't dive too heavily into rosters. I do more roster and player stats on my recap episode following every weekend. So when I'm just predicting matchups, I'm really just kind of looking at these statistical edges. Taylor Green is obviously fantastic. I don't think that they can put every game on his shoulders. Back-to-back road games, very similar defenses. This is a very good Memphis defense, even though it is an AAC or a G5 team. Do not sleep on Memphis in this game. I am picking Memphis for the upset in this matchup. All right. Probably pissed a lot of people off on that one at the start, but let's keep moving right along. We got 3 more marquee matchups to get through, and then we'll kind of run down the rest of the SEC slate. Yeah, that was just the first one. Let's talk Another really intriguing one, although in my opinion, this has bloodbath written all over it. It's South Carolina going to Columbia, Missouri to face the Mizzou Tigers. Let me make this bigger here. All the model, I think Missouri, Vegas has Missouri at it's currently 9.5 minus 9.5. My model likes Missouri by at least a touchdown. Here's the thing about the pre-cap model, y'all. When you see an 80+% win probability, you can probably add a touchdown or two to this projected margin. My margins stay very tight in this model. It's not going to predict 2 and 3 score point differentials most of the time. So when it's 80+%, this is 88.8% win probability for Mizzou, projected margin 7.2. Man, add 6 more points to that. Okay. So I would take Mizzou to cover the 9.5 for sure. Just look at the statistical edges and everything that favors Missouri here. EPA per rush, early downs EPA, explosiveness, huge advantage in explosiveness, right? Offensive EPA overall, defensive EPA. Now, South Carolina does have a really good defense, but this is on the road for them. I'm taking Mizzou and the home crowd for sure. Success rate overall offense. I mean, there's just not a lot that tracks with win probability favoring the Gamecocks here. Okay. You might look at the pressure and havoc rate. Like Dylan Stewart's going to play in this game, so he's obviously a factor coming off the edge. Field position, special teams can swing momentum in certain situations, but you can't put the entire outcome of this game on Beamer ball or special teams. That is just not going to work for you. And with the doubt around Lenora Sellers, does he play? Doesn't he play? I'm not watching injury reports, y'all. So I don't know. This looks ugly, in my opinion, for the Gamecocks. In that loss to Vanderbilt, Luke Doty had to play most of that game. He only had 148 yards passing with an interception. Since it's a head injury for Sellers, if he can't go, Doty's probably going to get the start. I mean, Lenora Sellers carries. He's like South Carolina's, first of all, he's their leading rusher. He's pretty much responsible for their entire offense. Without him, they just looked completely lost. South Carolina is like 71st nationally in total offense. They're 90th at passing, 106 in rushing. I just, man, like that team is not without talent, but like offensively, I just don't see how they score on this Mizzou team on the road with a really good Mizzou defense. Like, this is going to be a gut check game for them. I don't see this playing out well. Again, I'm taking Mizzou to cover this. I think it could be a 2, potentially 3-score game. You saw what Vandy did to South Carolina at South Carolina. That has me really concerned. Offensively for Missouri, you could talk about the usual suspects, right? Bo Prabula has been great. Ahmad Hardy is rumbling. Kevin Coleman Jr. is going off. Like, Mizzou has all the weapons. South Carolina has the weapons, but they're really handicapped right now. So I don't really know what else to say about this game. Like, it's one of the few like meaningful SEC games that we get this week, but it just kind of lost its luster after what happened in South Carolina against Vanderbilt. If South Carolina was still ranked and these were 2 top 20 teams, or at least, we had a top 25 matchup going on, this game would have a lot more intrigue and implications. Just not sure that's the case anymore. Another one that maybe preseason had a lot of potential, but obviously does not anymore, and that's Florida going to Miami. Sunshine State showdown. This could have been special. It could have been. But the Miami Hurricanes are 3-0, blazing start. And the Gators are limping into this one 1-2, trying to stop the bleeding after a really rough 3 weeks. Let's just start with Miami. All right, so we'll talk pre-cap model. By the way, Vegas has this Miami as a 7.5 point spread. That just seems low to me. That seems low. My model likes Miami by 8.9, so obviously I'm taking Miami to cover. Miami with that 83.5% win probability. I mean, again, add 6 to 10 more points to this. Like, this could be a 2, almost 3-score game. Easily look at the statistical edges, right? Positive favors the home team. EPA per rush, EPA per dropback, early downs. These massively favor guys. Look at this on YouTube if you're not. Like, if you're not on YouTube, go over here and watch it and just look at this on screen. I mean, these are massive deltas in Miami's favor. I think this game is going to run away from Florida. It's going to run away from Florida early. Carson Beck has been commanding an offense that's averaging over 7 yards a play. You can see his SEC experience paying off. They can pound the rock, very physical O-line and their running backs, but they can stretch the field vertically with Carson Beck. And then on the defensive side, they've got a solid front seven. They've been creating pressure. They've been stopping the run. Again, just look at the deltas there on screen. I mean, against USF, Miami's defense pitched a near shutout until garbage time. Like, Miami is overall a complete team. Meanwhile, in Gainesville, it has been bumpy to say the least, right? Florida began the year. Dude, what was Florida ranked preseason? I don't even remember at this point, but they were like a top 12 team in the AP defensively. It's like, what are we doing, y'all? What are we doing? 1-2, 18-16 home loss against South Florida. 20-10 loss at LSU. DJ Lagway throws 5 interceptions. Just back-to-back weeks, offensive struggles. 16 points, 10 points. Man, I don't know, dude. I just don't know. Can Florida regroup in time to challenge an elite Miami squad on the road? Doubtful. Okay. ESPN's FBI gives Miami a 75.2% win probability. My model, 83.5. This is a runaway train. Okay. It's a runaway train. Miami is a legit national title contender. Florida's still trying to rebuild. These programs are in 2 completely different spots. And what's wild is that this is a night game. Florida at Miami is the night game. And I think the world is going to watch Florida just get embarrassed in Coral Gables. I don't think Florida can even weather the first quarter. I don't think Lagway has time to settle in. I don't think this rivalry shows up on the field whatsoever. So give me Miami to cover those points. And with that, we are going to move on to the big one of the day. Now, I saved this one for last, but this is the afternoon game. This is going to be the 2:30 Central Time kick on ABC. This is number 22 Auburn going to number 11 Oklahoma. Oklahoma currently a 6.5 point favorite as per Vegas. ESPN's FPI gives Oklahoma a 65.3% chance to win. And my model is exactly the opposite. So this one, I posted on Twitter yesterday, really had me scratching my head. So I'll deep dive the matchup, right? This is a top 25 showdown. This is in Norman. This is at Oklahoma. Both of these teams 3-0. This is, the narratives are Jackson Arnold returned to Norman. He's playing great for the Tigers. He's got 500 passing yards. He's also rushed for, let's see here. Sorry, I'm looking for it. 137 against Baylor, 5 against Ball State, and then a 50 against South Alabama. So almost 200 yards rushing. 4 touchdowns through the air. He's got 4 accounted for rushing. So he accounts for 8 total touchdowns. He's playing really, really well. On the flip side of that, you have John Mateer, who has clearly been the catalyst for the Sooners offense. 9 total touchdowns so far, 68% of his passes, true dual threat. Both of these guys are true dual threats. He's got 161 rushing yards. Oklahoma has been very efficient, very explosive, but so has Auburn. So why is what we're seeing here in the pre-cap model so different from what we're seeing with Vegas? I don't know. But when I look at these decision splits, right, and we look at what favors the home team, most of these decision deltas, these efficiency deltas, are actually negative, which means they're in favor of Auburn. So that's the running game efficiency, EPA per rush, drop back efficiency, ironically, favors Auburn. Early downs EPA, so first down, 1st and 10, favors Auburn, and those are pretty big deltas. Explosiveness is in favor of Oklahoma. That's the value that John Mateer brings to this offense. Field position, some of that can be due to special teams, also explosiveness, opportunistic defenses. That favors Oklahoma. And at home, that'll be a pretty big one. 3rd and 4th down success rate, Auburn. Pressure and havoc rate defensively, Auburn. Offensive EPA overall, the delta here favors Auburn. Defensive EPA overall favors Oklahoma. Success rate overall, Auburn. Overall offensive delta, Auburn. So what the pre-cap model is seeing is on these decision splits and these deltas, and again, these are not all weighted equally, it really values what Auburn is bringing to the table. Now, that goes against what my gut says, right? My gut, and I think a lot of people think Oklahoma should have this one in the bag. It's in Norman, afternoon game. Crowd should be into it. Top 20 matchup, top 25 matchup. Auburn's ranked 22. But I'm seeing Auburn with a 66.7% win probability by less than a touchdown. So if you're on the opposite side of that, maybe you're taking Oklahoma to cover. That was my inclination when I first saw this, was to go against what the model is showing me here. Everything that I look at, everything else outside of this says that I should pick Oklahoma in this game. But then I thought about it overnight. And I'm like, I've seen this before. I've seen this weeks 1, 2, and 3, where my model is giving me something that I don't agree with, and I go with my gut instead, and the model ended up being right. So I'm going to challenge myself here. I'm going to take the side of the model. I'm actually going to go with Auburn on the road here. Now, I know it says 66% chance. Let me break that down for you a little more clearly. When a 60 to 70% chance win probability basically means there's a 60 to 70% chance that this is the outcome. Okay. So it doesn't mean that 100% this is what's going to happen. Obviously, this could be wrong. Obviously, Oklahoma could win this game by 10 points. Okay. You could take Oklahoma to cover all of this in the points. Okay. That's absolutely within the realm of possibility. This is not 100% certainty. This is about a 60% certainty. That's not high. 60% is close to a coin flip. Okay. But I'm going to take Auburn. I'm going to take Auburn on the road. I'm going to go with the model. But I'm going to say it's maybe a field goal. I'm going to say this is a late touchdown to take the lead for Auburn, or a late field goal. Maybe in overtime. Maybe I like it in overtime. Now, important to note, Oklahoma won this game on the road at Auburn last year. And I think last year was actually their first ever SEC victory. It came at Auburn's expense. It was that 27-21 win that I think was the OU linebacker returning a late interception for a touchdown to seal the game. Can you imagine that flipped this year? Maybe Auburn has a late pick six or kick return for a touchdown that gives them that lead, maybe puts them ahead by 3 or 4 points. I don't think Auburn has forgotten that. And I definitely think they'll be eager to flip that script this time around. The Jackson Arnold Oklahoma narrative has been beaten to death. We all know it. He is playing great football for Auburn. John Mateer is playing great football for Oklahoma. I am absolutely excited to watch this game. This is going to be the game of the day for me. Best part of it, I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm not an Oklahoma fan. I'm not an Auburn fan. I'm just an SEC football fan. And this one is going to be awesome, awesome, awesome to watch. So there you have it. Guys, we just we pre-capped Arkansas at Memphis. I'm taking the Tigers at home to upset the Hogs. South Carolina goes on the road to Missouri. I'm taking Missouri at home there. And the points, I think Mizzou covers in that game. Florida at Miami is going to be an absolute bloodbath. I'm taking Miami to cover whatever score and give it to Florida by a couple touchdowns. And then give me Auburn on the road. It still goes against my gut, but give me Auburn on the road. I like that one. Yeah, I just like that one. Y'all, we're going to pre-cap the rest of the SEC slate. We just have some smaller games and some things to talk about. But really quickly before we do, I do this all for free. I'm not sponsored. You don't get any ad reads on my YouTube channel or the podcast. All I do is sell a few t-shirts on my Bonfire store. I've got that QR up here on screen. I've also got the link in the description. I'm just going to show a few of these off. These are, sorry, give me a second here. Sorry, guys. There we go. These are my new Saturdays collection. I have these for all 16 SEC teams. Bonfire.com/store/SEC recap. I'm going to show off my Arkansas and my Tennessee because that's what we are in this household. Check these out. Let me pop that off so you can see. They have this really nice heathered look. The Saturday's vintage text with the mascot on the football field background. I'll show off my Tennessee one here. And I gave all of them their own kind of like unique touches. Did a little bit of the smoky gray outline on the Saturday's script for the Tennessee one. The nice heathered look on the t-shirts, but they come in long sleeve, hoodie, guys. Please go check them out. Bonfire.com/store/SEC recap. It is almost fall, which means it is going to be bonfire season. Go pick you up a nice, cozy, comfy hoodie. All the material feels great. They're super lightweight cotton. Guys, they lay great and fit great around the chest and your shoulders. They don't have like the awkward like sleeve hang that some of those cheap t-shirts do. These are really, really nice. They're all premium. So you get what you pay for. You get a really, really quality t-shirt. I've got my Saturdays collection, my SEC Pride collection, even got some novelty ones like the Big Doinks t-shirt. Show your love for Big Doinks with the Big Doink Energy tees. So go check those out at bonfire.com/store/SEC recap. Y'all, let's talk about some of the other games. We got UAB at number 15, Tennessee. That's going to be a noon kick on SEC Network. Vols coming kind of a bounce back here, like a tune-up game after that home loss to Georgia. Not a bad loss. Covered that one on the recap episode. This is going to be a name-your-score game for the Vols. Joey Aguilar, just get him comfortable again, fine-tune some things with that offensive defense, rest some guys, and get some of those second and third strings, some of those depth players some reps because they're going to need them. Especially on the defensive side, on that line, and at cornerback. Tennessee heavy favorite in this game, honestly. Like I said, name your score. Name your score there. Tulane at number 13, Ole Miss. That's going to be an afternoon. Sneaky good. Listen, y'all, sneaky good non-con game. I didn't do model predictions for these guys. I only do the model predictions for the big ones. But, you know, Green Wave, I think, are 2-1. That's a really good G5 team. But the Rebels are looking sharp. Now they got exposed a little bit with that Arkansas offense, but I think a lot of teams would. That's a really, really good offense. But Ole Miss is averaging like 500 yards a game. And Ole Miss obviously expected to win at home. And Tulane almost, I mean, I think, let's see, let me go back here. I feel like Tulane almost got Ole Miss one year. I can't remember when it was, but keep an eye on the defense, right? Ole Miss is projected 13.5 point favorite. Keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on that. I'm not betting. Like, I don't provide my models for betting action. Um, I don't bet on sports. I feel like I don't have an edge in doing it. Um, but maybe like look for a late Tulane cover there. We'll see. That could be interesting. Obviously, I'm picking Ole Miss to win, but that is an intriguing non-con game. Northern Illinois at Mississippi State. Now, this is NIU, right? They did have the Notre Dame upset. Like, this is a feisty team, but the Bulldogs should handle this. They're just outside the top 25. Despite NIU pulling off some upsets, I think the Bulldogs are going to be just fine here at home. I would not expect anything crazy in this game. Mississippi State is 21.5 point favorites. Northern Illinois is just 1-1 on the season. So Bulldogs comfortably there in Starkville. Georgia State at Vanderbilt. This is a Georgia State that beat Vandy. Vandy had to go on the road, but this is a very different Vandy team. This is a very physical Vandy team, even better than last year, I think. Georgia State, they're 1-2. You don't want to sleep on them, but as long as Vandy, comes out with half a pulse in this game, they're going to be okay. Just play clean football, remain unbeaten. Commodores fans are riding high. This would send Vanderbilt to 4-0, heading into like a pretty brutal stretch. I mean, they'll do Utah State, which is going to be a more solid opponent than Georgia State. But then they got Alabama, LSU, Missouri, Texas, Auburn. Boom, 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 boom. So gets tougher for Vandy definitely in the second half of the season. Being 4-0 gives you a little bit of a cushion there. Southeastern Louisiana at number 3 LSU. LSU should get a little bit of a breather here, but Southeast Louisiana is 2-1. It's the LSU offense that has been slow. So what you want to see is a little more production, I guess, like stepping it up, like getting the offense going a little more explosive against this kind of opponent than they have. 5 picks last week against Florida, and you only win by a margin of 10 points. It doesn't really track. And this was one of those teams. LSU was one of those teams. You know what? I might as well show it while we're talking here. Let me share my screen. I'm just going to put them on blast. All right, check this out. Straight from my website. I post this on Twitter as well, but what you see here, adjusted EPA defensively, offensively, where you want to be as a team is in this bottom right quadrant. These are your most efficient overall teams. These are going to be your best teams. LSU is the number 3 team in the country per the AP, but efficiency-wise, they are sitting over here with the likes of Texas, Florida, and South Carolina. That is not good company to be in. They are not a good offensive team. They're okay defensively, but there's a lot of other teams that are in that same category defensively. Oklahoma, Missouri, Georgia, Mississippi State, Florida, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, right? All of those teams defensively are roughly around the same. They're better than the league average, but offensively, LSU is way below where the top teams in the SEC are, meaning that the further they go into SEC play, the more exposed they are going to get unless something changes. And here's the thing about efficiencies. Efficiencies do not lie. The farther into the season you go, so week 5, week 6, that is who you are. And so, sure, LSU is 3-0 right now, and they're probably going to be 4-0 after this week. But if these numbers don't change, if this offensive efficiency especially does not change, LSU is not going unbeaten in the SEC. They're also not going to be contending for the SEC title. They will probably end the year with 3 losses. Let's see who they have near the back half. So they go to Ole Miss. South Carolina, they go to Vanderbilt. And I don't think most people out there are ready to have the conversation about LSU losing at Vanderbilt. I am. Hit your boy up on Twitter because I got some early season statistics that would support that right now. They got Texas A&M, Alabama, and Arkansas. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 losable games for LSU on the schedule if they play the way that they're playing. So again, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but what I'm saying is these efficiencies are the canary in the coal mine, and LSU is not in a good place for a 3-0 team. This does not bode well. This is not where you want to be as a 3-0 team. You want to be over here as a 3-0 team. All right. I hope that's somewhat clear. All right. Finally, last game. Oh, Sam Houston at number 8, Texas. Again, you just want to see Texas get something going offensively, like look not so sluggish. They shouldn't have any trouble at home. I mean, Sam Houston is, I think they're 0-3. So, like, again, it's a name your score game. They're favored by 40.5 points. But, like, do you take Texas to cover 40.5? I don't know that I am right now. You just want to see, like, Arch play better. You want to see him play okay. Texas should roll in this game. That defense is obviously really, really good. I don't think Sam Houston is going to, like, be a real point threat. But, like, how much does Texas's offense score? I don't know. Again, the win is not in question. What the win looks like is in question because the deeper we go into the season for these teams, Texas, LSU, I'll throw South Carolina into that mix, Arkansas, those are 2-1 teams. It starts to get a little more dicey, especially as you get into the tougher part of your SEC schedule. See some folks tuning in late. We are just hitting the end of our our predictions episode. We talked Arkansas at Memphis, South Carolina at Mizzou, Florida at Miami, and then we capped it off with Auburn at Oklahoma. So I'm going to be closing it out here now, but go back, watch all of those. I'm going to clip them tomorrow so you can just watch them respectively. This will be out in podcast form as well, but I always encourage you all to watch here on YouTube. Check out the Bonfire store, bonfire.com/store/SEC recap for the Saturday's merch. Looks fantastic, feels fantastic. Not as big of a slate, but I'm still excited. Again, that Auburn at Oklahoma think could be really, really good. Well, that's going to do it for us. Thanks for tuning in. While you're still here, subscribe here on the channel. Follow me on X at SEC Recap. Be here on Sunday, Monday. Talk about all the Week 4 action. Y'all have a good one. Peace.